Tyson Fury dismisses a fight with Alexander Usyk. He says Usyk is not popular and nobody wants to see it. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Sign up for ESPN Plus below using my link. It definitely helps the channel, and I appreciate everybody who used my link over the weekend for the Conor McGregor fight, and continue to support using that link. Now, Tyson Fury did an interview, link in the description, and he has a 3-fight list. He says he doesn't know about a Wilder trilogy. All he knows is he's fighting Wilder. Then he wants to fight Joshua and give Dillian White a shot, who's been looking for a title opportunity for some time. He also mentioned another name that's with, DAZN and Joshua and Dillian White side of the fence, Alexander Usyk. And he says that's not a person that's on his short list. He said he's looking to do 3 fights and then he's out. It's a young man's game, and he's cashing out and trying to do big events. This is what Fury said exactly. Usyk isn't on the list. He's a no name. No one is interested. He doesn't make any money. Why would I want to fight him for? He's a small cruiserweight, a foreigner who doesn't speak good English, and no one is really interested anyway. I want the big fights that people are interested in, and that ain't one of them. So that's his opinion. He says it wouldn't be a big fight. He says still it wouldn't be a big fight. It's still a foreigner in a westernized world. The belts are back in the West, and they're going to stay there. For whatever it sounds like, the heavyweight championship should be from Britain or America or anywhere else. That's it. Because maybe in Ukraine, Usyk might be a big star, but Britain and America ain't interested in some Ukrainian boxing. That's the way it is. The heavyweight champion of the world needs to be the West, and that's it. And that's how it goes. So that's his opinion. He totally, copped the squad on the fight with Usyk, said he's not interested, said no one really cares, and, gave his opinion. Now, the funny thing is, shout out to New Media. I appreciate every one of you guys. Ego's Army. It's funny because old media, they continue to peddle the same stuff, and Usyk is a good fighter. But I told you on my channel, like, one of the biggest issues with DAZN is they're selling a product to America, and they haven't really produced American stars. Not just American fighters who are American stars, which they haven't done, but also names that just overall resonate with Americans. Like, there's been a lot of crossover stars from other foreign land. Like, we just watched Conor McGregor. He draws a vicious American crowd. He fought an American undefeated fighter who happens to be combat sports' biggest hero and success story, and he happens to be the highest paid in the last decade, which is Floyd Mayweather. That only came to fruition because of Conor McGregor's ability to sell and promote and the brand he's built, which made it a big event, right? Old media continues to, act like Lomachenko and Usyk are these major stars. Meanwhile, namely PBC fighters and namely black fighters like Gervonta Tank Davis, Deontay Wilder, in comment sections and boxing forums on websites and stuff, these same fans, these same like old media fans or writers, they continue to make it look like Tank Davis, Errol Spence, Deontay Wilder, Charlos, like nobody cares about them. Like people don't care about Broner. Notice a trend. The common denominator, all African-American fighters in America, and that bigoted thinking, that's maybe what they want to be the case, but surely it's not the case. And that's what you're hearing from Tyson Fury as well. He's saying nobody wants to really see a fight with me and Usyk. What's in it for me? There's an old military acronym called WIFM. What's in it for me? And that's what he's saying. He's like, if I'm going out in my last couple fights, I want big events. I signed this big lucrative ESPN deal, so I want big fights, 2 Wilder fights, Joshua, Dillian White, fights that would excite people. And hate to break this to old media, but Usyk is a good fighter, but all of his work has been done at cruiserweight. He did damage there, but cruiserweight has never really been the go-to division. Henceforth, why guys like Evander Holyfield and David Haye left and became full-fledged heavyweights. Even guys like Steve Cunningham, who's undersized for today's standard heavyweight, he's tried his hand at heavyweight because there were better opportunities, including the person who's given this criticism. Steve Cunningham fought Tyson Fury some odd years ago, so that's why people move up, because the big fights aren't there. There's good fighters like, Murat Gassiev was there, and you got Dorticos and stuff like that, but these aren't big name fights. The guys like the dude that knocked out Roy Jones. What's the guy that knocked out Roy Jones? See, that's what I'm saying. This is proving my point. He knocked out Roy Jones in a bad fashion. I don't even remember his name off the top of my head, in the recording of this video. That's what I'm saying. It's not a popping division. It'll come to me, but that's probably why Usyk, he had already became undisputed, won the Ali Trophy World Boxing Super Series, but he's in a whole different, it's a whole new can of worms in a whole different division at heavyweight, and he hasn't really proven anything. So it's just funny how a lot of fighters, if you have the complexion for the protection, is like you get anointed. Well, I can't really judge Usyk off of his cruiserweight career. He did great things there, but moving up, again, it's a whole different ball game, and he hasn't established himself at all. And his last performance was not stellar. So I really don't blame Tyson Fury for not being also interested in the Usyk fight. And it's just funny because this is the exact contrary to what old media claims. They claim Usyk, they like his personality and he's friends with Lomachenko. They say he's a big star in America, and they make it like certain guys that have the complexion for the protection are a lot bigger than what they are. They tell you that Golovkin is so big, but Golovkin can't produce big events on his own without Canelo. It's just the reality of what we're seeing. We have yet to see Usyk take America by storm. Again, it's not saying he can't beat, some guys, but, as far as saying Deontay Wilder's an easy fight, he has to kind of clout chase and talk about it. And it's funny that Tyson Fury is so critical of Usyk, and Usyk said Tyson Fury would be his toughest fight. So in essence, gave him props and said he would be the most difficult fight, and Tyson Fury just and blew him off totally. So I don't know. That's just Tyson Fury's opinion, and I gave you my opinion on the situation. I'll maintain that Usyk is a good fighter, an Olympian. He still has to prove himself at heavyweight, which is a totally different division, and DAZN is going to have to figure out a better way to make the guys that they keep putting in the forefront and the fans try to put in the forefront that are foreigners, like Tyson Fury is saying, making them relevant names. Like even Tyson Fury, he's a foreigner to America, but he's already made his splash. His last few fights have been in America. He fought Wilder in America. He's been on the Joe Rogan podcast. He speaks English. He's more of a showman, so he'll help build the fight. He'll sing, try to make headlines. He attended, like he's making himself, when in Rome, do as Romans do. He was just at the UFC fight card, 246. He's at some of the top ranked cards. He's making himself visible. Guys like Usyk, when do you see Usyk being shown on the screen at UFC fights and stuff? When do you see Usyk on Joe Rogan's show? You don't really see that. So DAZN is really gonna struggle unless they get a branded star or figure out how to start branding these guys to make them more relevant. Because we know in this modern age of boxing, skills are a part of it, but that's certainly not. Adrian Broner has skills, but his personality and his charisma have probably gotten him some fights that are beyond his victories or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you look for who's the most deserving of a Pacquiao fight, was it really Broner was more deserving than Terrence Crawford or whoever? If we're talking skill for skill, probably not. But Broner has the mouthpiece. He has the brand. He has the ability to sell, and he has some skills. So branding is important, and it seems to be kind of a enigma for a lot of promoters. You know, I think Al Haymon and PBC have done the best job of letting people know that there's American talent as well as others from around the world that we should be paying attention to in America. Like even guys who are with PBC who aren't American, like F.A. Ajagba, Americans are checking for them because people have been privy to their brand and we've seen them on enough cards. There's some level of promotion. Guys like Adam Kaunaki, he just fought Chris Arreola and they gave us a face-off for it. Use shoulder programming. Usyk, he just fights. Like, you don't really see much promotion. So that's kind of what happens. And this is DAZN's fault because they got a British promoter in Eddie Hearn who hasn't studied and grasped the American market as much as he probably thinks he has. So Tyson Fury said he ain't fighting Usyk, so probably cross that off the list. Obviously, he has to get past Wilder before he thinks about the next 3 fights, because that could change, you know, his course of direction. Wilder definitely has a lot of power. You know, if he gets knocked out again, who knows what he wants to do. But that's Tyson Fury's thoughts. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. If you love what I'm doing, smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.